Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Long time no see. I apologize for not making any videos lately except for actual play videos, but I've been really busy. One of the things I've been really busy with is playing a lot of games, and playing a lot, which is great, but it takes a certain amount of time. I've also been going to the gym quite a bit, which is wonderful, but it takes a certain amount of time. And quite frankly, juggling all parts of my life, I've been a little bit exhausted. And this video isn't really about that, but I'd like to kind of make this a routine again and get back into making some videos a little more frequently and then hopefully start blogging again. But this video isn't about that. What is it about, now that I've blathered on for over half a minute? It's about my experiences playing a game called Delta Green, which I've talked about before, wanting to play. And also, not just the game itself, but how we've been playing it, because both of these things have been really cool, and I wanted to share my experiences. Now, if you're not sure what Delta Green is, you go, watch RuneSlinger's channel, and he's got a few videos on Delta Green, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. It is a game of Lovecraftian horror, but you will play members of an agency called Delta Green, which is kind of a quasi-government agency charged with kind of handling these sort of things and protecting the public, making sure the public doesn't know about them, covering things up, that sort of thing. It is not shotguns and shoggoths, as Anthony talked about. Apparently, and I don't know the whole history, apparently, initially it's possible that when Delta Green first came out, the original kind of modules or whatever the heck it is, like I said, I don't know the whole history. That was some of the criticism. This game is certainly not about that. You are not super powerful government agencies, blasting, all kinds of Lovecraftian horrors to hell and saving the world. You can do a little bit of that, but that's not really what the game is about. You're pretty much being, it's a hopeless situation. You're just trying to hold the line. You're trying to do something good on your way to dying or going insane. It is not Call of Cthulhu, so to speak, in terms of you're not simply investigators stumbling upon these horrors, although this can happen. It uses a really elegant version of the D100, Open Quest, Rune Quest, whatever you want to call it, system. And I've been playing in a game of Mythras as well, which is great, or using the Mythras system, which is awesome. I'm not saying anything bad about that system, but the way that Delta Green uses the D100 system is really streamlined, really elegant. I really dig it. Not surprising coming from me, but they do a really good job with it. So I just like the way it handles everything. Now, as far as the game itself, what are you actually doing? We have in our group, we have an FBI, no, we don't have an FBI agent, I'm sorry. We're working for a guy that's kind of has ties to the FBI. But we have a U.S. Marshal in the Witness Protection Program, remember that? We have a DEA agent. We have an ex-Marine who now trains, private security. And we have a Catholic priest. Pretty cool. So you can have these adjunctive members, such as things like priests. That's not kind of an atypical member, but because the game tells you most of the players should be members of government agencies, or the characters rather. You can do you can be anything as a player. You can work at McDonald's, I suppose. You get the idea. But they can have these adjunctive members, and it's really compelling. Delta Green was formed after the Innsmouth raid. Which I think is awesome. That was one of the things that instantly got me interested in this game and wanted to take a look at it. And it's very convoluted. I don't want to give too much away about the agency and all the various nuances, and because it gets pretty crazy. But depending on what part of the agency you're working for, who you're working for, it can be very compartmentalized. There's not a lot of sharing of information. A lot of things don't get revealed to you. It can be really it's jacked up to 11 as far as that's concerned. But that's not necessarily what it's about. The game is more about what happens to these agents as a result of the things that they have to do. And it's not just facing Lovecraftian horrors and having to make sanity checks, although that's part of it. What they're charged with doing is investigating these things, gaining intelligence on them, stopping whatever kind of incursions there are, but also making sure that nobody knows about it. And we face some moments in our game where we not only had to do some disturbing things, but we might have had to do some disturbing things to people that were about to find out what was going on. And we got told, by whatever means necessary, we need to make sure that people don't find out. And you can start to imagine the kind of decisions that these people would have to make. The game also uses bonds in a mechanical way, and the bonds with your family, your friends, people that are important, to your character. But as you face things that can really shake your sanity, one of the ways you can protect your sanity, or cling on to it, is calling on these bonds. But what happens is, as a result, they weaken, and you become more and more distant, and estranged from the people that mean the most to you. Eventually, some of the bonds you end up forming that become more important are with the other Delta Green agents. Not even the members of your other agencies who you still work for, because it's kind of a secret that you work for Delta Green. Everything kind of falls under the umbrellas of your other agencies, because Delta Green technically doesn't exist. And they can be really, really interesting. And there was a lot of moments where there was a lot of socks to the gut, in a lot of different ways, and I enjoyed it. But how are we playing this game? We're playing it play by post. So I'm playing it with Anthony, with Runeslinger. I'm playing with Eloy, who's actually running the game. Who, if you watch like my Lamentations of the Martian Princess game, or like our BX games, that's Eloy. Jose is his friend, who also plays in the Martian Princess and BX and some other games, and their friend Neil, who I've never actually met, but awesome dude, awesome player. So Eloy's running the game, because we were talking about this for a while. Let's play this game. We're all really interested in it, and Eloy says, "Well, the heck with it. I'm going to play it. We're going to start running it." And so he just said, "I'm going to run it in play by post." And so he's running it in a manner that he learned from Rich Rogers. So I guess as a member of the Gauntlet, I think Plus One Forward is his podcast. Does a lot of PBTA type stuff. But what we use is Google Docs, and so there's a shared folder. And Eloy types out all sorts of stuff. He can, when we get into a scene, he can split it up. We can, have different scenes become different documents. You can split the entire party, and everybody has their own little session, or in pairs, whatever it happens to be. We've done all these things. Everybody has a different font color, so you can tell who's posting. It's all done in real time, so you don't type over each other. And as far as mechanics are concerned, we handle the mechanics in the comments, so they don't show up in the in-character text, so to speak. Also, what we're doing is we're using like different signals. So when you're in bold and with quotation marks, that's your dialogue. If you use this regular font, that's what you're doing. And if what you're thinking, you put some stuff in just regular italics. Really, really cool, because what's happening is everything's in first person, but we're also giving the other characters a glimpse, or the other players a glimpse into what our characters are thinking. So it can be really kind of cool. And then, as Anthony kind of mentioned in an internal video, as we're talking about the experience, that's actually not as far-fetched as it sounds, because these people, most of them being agents or what have you, or even the Catholic priests, they're used to being able to read other people. In fact, they actually have skills like such as human intelligence, being able to all the empathy and sort of stuff. So you can kind of figure out, like, geez, what's going on inside this guy's head, or have a kind of an inkling. So it's very, very interesting, because that's not a way I normally play, where I expose my character's inner thoughts. But and not even in play by post, but it's been kind of cool here. So we've all kind of been in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's do this first person. Let's expose what this character's thinking. It has been an incredibly active play by post. I have never played in one that has been this fast and has had this frequency of posting, despite the fact that we're in 4 different time zones. I mean, okay, well, I'm in the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time. Eloy and Jose are right now, because they don't participate in Daylight Savings Time, because they're smart. They're an hour ahead of me. Neil is, I don't know, he used to be Central or Mountain or Pacific. He's a little bit behind. He wakes up later. And of course, Anthony is, right now, 14 hours ahead. Despite that, the frequency of posting has been phenomenal. So I think the game might have started 2 weeks ago, and we already finished the first session or adventure. And so it's been awesome. One of the other things that we've been doing is we've been using a Hangouts chat. And yes, I know, the Google Hangouts and all these other things, and I don't want to talk about that. But right now, it's active. We can use it. So we've been having this really interesting multi-layered experience. We at least like 3 layers. We have this, maybe 4 layers. We have this in-character document, or series of documents, where it's pretty much a transcript of what's happening. And you can also read it like a story. We have the comments, that handle the mechanics. So they don't show up in the main text, but they're there. It's the basic discussion. You need to make a sanity roll here. What happened here? You need to do this. And that's outside the main text. We have that conversation going on as well. We have within that main text, the documents, we have these inner thoughts of the characters. It's really kind of cool. There's this other layer of communication going on outside of, I do this and I say that. And also, we have this out-of-character chat and bonding in the Google Hangout. And as Eloy was mentioning, once again, in another internal video as we've been talking about this, as well as just our chat back and forth, what's happened is that kind of sequesters all the, at the table chatter, out-of-character type stuff and all the jokes and whatnot from the actual experience of this horror, because that's the first time Eloy has run like a horror game, and first time I've really played I've played a couple, but not this long. And one of the things that we've been talking about is the idea is you're reading this document by yourself, and it can be you can get these socks in the gut emotionally. You can really feel the horror. You can really feel the gravity of the situation. When somebody else posts something, it really it gets very, very tense, because you're able to sequester this out of character chat, all these other things that are happening from that actual moment where it gets really, really visceral. So that's been a lot of fun. Also, Eloy's been using modules for prepared adventures. We've started the next one. So the adventure he used, he said, tell me what you think afterwards. So now I'm just going to blow a little smoke. Up. Well, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to blow it, but the module that Eloy used was from the Need to Know document. You get this little thing from Delta Green. It pretty much tells you how to play it. It's like a really cheap sort of like starter, quick start sort of thing. And none of us had actually read the little sample adventure in the back. So he said, read that after we're done. So we finished our adventure. We came back and made our report to our superior before going on back onto our normal lives for a while, and we've just been, we've gone off on another, crazy mission at this point. We've just started another one, and I looked at this, what the actual session was or adventure was, prepared thing, and it was this little teeny skeleton, and then Eloy fleshed this thing out so much, changed some details. He has a skill that I need to work on, which is he takes something that's just this bare bones prepared adventure, maybe not bare bones, but he sits there and breathes life into it and makes it his own, makes it real. And I looked at that thing. How did you take this and make what we just played? So I was really, really impressed by that. And the way he's handled the entire game has been really, really cool. A lot of information density, which because Play by Post allows that, including some pictures and what have you. But it's gone really, really well. And so it's been good players, a good game master. A really good system, really good players and really good game master. It's been a lot of fun and a really neat way to play the game. So not only am I super enamored with Delta Green and really hot to get my hands on the actual physical product, because I've had the PDFs for a good long time, because I want to play some, so I'm waiting for Santa to bring that for me. But I'm really enamored with this particular method of play-by-post, and it's probably been one of the most fun play-by-posts I've been involved in, and certainly one of the fastest, which is great. And it's funny because Delta Green is kind of like a police procedural, and that's not necessarily my first go-to. It's even in fiction, it's not really my thing. But as I found, playing All for One Regime Diabolique, Musketeers aren't really my thing either. Or they weren't until I played with people that were really enthusiastic about it. And I learned to love the genre because the people that I played with, who I respected and liked the way they played, well, they loved the genre too. And I kind of learned to love the genre because they did. And I learned it not as a passive participant, watching it, reading it, that sort of thing, but actually, being an active participant in the genre, which is really, really neat. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that. And the other thing that Eloy mentioned, now that I'm kind of droning on for far too long, is one of the neat things about something like Delta Green, you can play it in various time periods, and they tell you kind of how to do that. Is we're playing it in the modern day. We're playing it in 2013, and because that gives us a good amount of time to play these characters. Eloy's doing this great job of researching like actual real events, because we're playing in Boston, so he's got all the streets and various things that happened and drug busts and the whole 9 yards. Really, really impressive. Diner menus, it's crazy. But one of the things that Eloy mentioned was playing in something like say 1920s Call of Cthulhu. That's great, But for people like him, and I understand because I kind of have the same mentality. It's almost like playing a fantasy game. I'm just so removed from that. It's so removed from my experience. It's a little hard to really step into the character sometimes. Whereas when you're playing like This World with a Twist, I already know what this world was like. I know what 2013 was like. I was there. But now we, interject this little twist, this little supernatural horror, this crazy agency called Delta Green. And in a way, it can be a lot easier to immerse yourself in that. Certainly not the only way to get immersed, but it helps an awful lot. So, really, really enjoying the game, really, really enjoying the method, and really, really enjoying the people I'm playing with. So, just letting you know what I've been up to, and it's a lot of fun. And if you are interested in Delta Green, go check it out. And if you're interested in playing that way, drop me a line if you want to know more about it. And I think I can probably share the doc that explains how to do that. Although I think you can probably figure it out anyway. All right, have a good one, kids.